Hey,
couple of reasons. Not the least of which is I'm at a significant caffeine deficiency. But also what we're going to look at today is pretty, well, it's, yesterday after class we talked a little bit about Voronoi and Delaunay triangulation and duals and that sort of thing. And today is about duals. So, so what we're going to look at today is called point line duality.
hey,
And I know there are duals in physics, but I don't know the context for them. So, so I don't know whether the two connect well or not. But I want to, if we do, so consider a line. I guess I did y equals ax minus b. So point slope or slope y-intercept form. It's a convenience when doing this discussion. It's convenience to have a negative there rather than a plus. Usually we write y equals ax plus b or mx plus b. But here I'm using a and also a minus there, and it's a triviality to convert. So when I do this, this gives me the set of all x, y such that the y part is a times x minus b. And you can treat that however you want. We typically treat it, as a graph. We draw the curve or the line in this case that's associated with that collection of points. But it is just a collection of points, and we're representing a bunch of different ways. So thinking about that, the x and the y, the x in particular, wanders around, and we calculate a y value that goes with it. But every one of those pairs of x's and y's are related to each other through the a and b. So the idea that pops out of this is we could actually specify the line just by those two constants as like a pair a b, with the interpretation that a and b would be used to form an equation like that we could then calculate y values for associated x values. But when we do it like that, sort of what I've written is, this is a pair. It's like a point. And it's a point that's associated with the line y equals ax minus b. Not in the same sense that x and y are, but in the sense of it's sort of a description of that line with the x's and y's in it.
Here.
yep,
Stanley, are you there?
I got
yeah, I'm here. Hello,
Hello?
hello,
Hey.
how's it going?
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, holding up pretty nice. Kind of surprised the class started at 7:30, but
Sorry about that. I had work this morning, so we had to go early.
that's completely fine. Actually, it works out for the best because my alarm just went off at 7:30, and I got the call right away, and I was just like, oh, that was.
Well, that's good. So are you up to date on what we're doing here, Stanley?
Yeah. I've seen a lot of the lecture videos, and I think the only lecture video I was missing was yesterday's. That was just because I think my 21st birthday was this weekend, and I just didn't have a lot of time to get to that yet. But yeah, I've been caught up a lot. from what we've been doing.
Okay. So part of what I talked about yesterday was I put up the 4th programming project over the weekend, and I sort of announced it yesterday in the lecture. So you're aware of that.
Yeah. I saw it. Yeah.
And
On the Friday lecture, you mentioned you were gonna post it.
yep. Okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't get it up until sometime Sunday. So, but it's up there now. And then right at the end of yesterday's lecture, in fact, it probably was after the lecture was over. Logan and I were just talking about other stuff that would normally be in a course like this, and at some point we talked a little bit about duals, and I kind of vaguely remember early in the summer session we had a little bit of talk about point and line duality, and it may have just been in passing. So what I'm going to do today is kind of pin that down in a concrete manner, because we're right now at a point where being able to talk about things in their dual yields a sort of it makes it possible to think about an algorithm for something. So I'm just starting up the point line duality here. Logan's alarm went off. He's supposed to wake up and come to class now. Mine does that too.
Sorry.
Mine did that in a meeting last week.
I turned the volume off specifically so it wouldn't do that, but I guess it overrides volume to wake you up.
I guess. All right. So what I've got going here so far today, Stanley, was pick the line, write it in slope y-intercept form, except instead of writing mx plus b, I wrote ax minus b, and then here's what the line looks like. It's a set of x, y's that satisfy that. And the deal is that a and b, the coefficients, I guess you could call them, for the slope and the y-intercept, those two things are really what determines the line. I mean, they're the parameters that define the line. So, and they're a pair of things. And so the idea is you think of that as a point in sort of an alternate universe. So in the dual phase. And that then that opens up a whole door for stuff. So like, for example, if the line was y equals 5x minus 4, you know, that would map to the point 5, 4. So here's our line in normal reality. Here's the corresponding point in that alternate reality. When you do that, I'm talking about a line to a point relationship. When you do that, this is called the sort of the primal space. We're talking about a plane here, so this would be the primal plane, is the name for, you know, the reality. And over here, this is called the dual space. In this case, it would be the dual plane for the sort of alternate reality. But the idea here is that a line and a point are related to each other across this, cross reality boundary. Stanley, what are you doing, man?
I'm sneezing. Sorry.
Oh, I wonder. I thought you were opening a wrapper on something. That's all right. Now that I got a context for it, it won't scare me so much.
I'll mute it before I sneeze. Sorry.
So with this thought in mind, with this primal plane and dual plane idea in mind, a reasonable question is, what does a line look like in the dual plane? So we know what a point looks like. A point corresponds to a line. So what does a line in that dual plane correspond to? And let's see. We've got, that's probably really as far to the right as I safely can go. So let me do this. Let's, in the primal plane, in normal reality, consider a specific point. So consider the point, I guess I called this x, p, y, p, because they're in the primal plane. But just pick a point out of the normal real plane. And think about what all lines through this point look like. Well, for one thing, you know, this is the y part and this is the x part. So in particular, they have to be yp equals a xp minus b for basically for all a's and b's. I mean, the board is a plane, here's a point. We look at all lines that go through this except for vertical lines. I guess vertical lines are off the discussion here because we don't have a slope for them. But think of all the non-vertical lines that go through this point. They all have an equation that looks like this. They go through xp, yp, and they have, you know, all kinds of different slopes and all kinds of different y-intercepts. But, you know, that one point gives us a whole collection of lines. Let's see, how did I want to write this? If we look at the image of these lines in the dual plane, so the image of these lines in the dual plane look like a set of all AB such that YP equals A XP minus B. So these are the set of all A's and B's. I'm sorry. I wanted something different here. I wanted what I erased here. Well, let's just stick with that. Each one of these lines gives us an A and B, a different A and B, for all of the possible A's and B's. We're pinning down the point XP, YP, and so their corresponding associate over here in the dual plane looks like this. And if I just kind of rewrite it just a tad, I want to write it as B equals XPA minus YP. So just a little algebra to shuffle things around. When I do that, so over here, the A is the slope and the B is the y-intercept idea. Over here, it's the X and Y that are the pinned down part, and so this is the slope and this is the y-intercept. I guess, you know, it would be the b-intercept since we're sort of talking about in the AB plane rather than the XY plane. But So if I go back to what I had originally written up here on the board, if I write y equals ax minus b as a line in the primal plane, what I had originally written down was this is the set of all xy's such that y equals ax minus b in the primal plane. And over here, I did some fiddling around, and I came up with something that looks almost exactly the same. That is, the set of all pairs satisfying an equality. The set of all pairs satisfying an equality. This is a line in the dual space. It's got the form of a line, right? It's a set of all pairs satisfying a linear equation. So maybe I should put little Cody jobs on it because that's how I'm treating the dual space as like that. So the idea here is a line in the dual space is the same as all lines through a point in a primal space. Somebody was just sitting around with nothing to do one day and thought this stuff up. I'm going to post a link on the website. There was a famous someone that many people consider to be the best mathematician alive right now. Dude at City University of New York made a statement over the weekend, and somebody put together a little news article about it, and they included a video that he had given. And he was talking about the relationship between mathematics and physics. He said something that when I was a math major, for like the 25 years that I was a math major, was near and dear to my heart. He said, mathematicians strive to be useless. I mean, the theory that mathematicians come up with, the further removed from reality you can get, the more positive you feel about it. You feel like you've accomplished something. At least those of us that were in theoretical mathematics felt that way, or at least I felt that way. And apparently this dude did too. And he talked about the history of mathematics in the 20th century. Basically in the 20th century, how physics and mathematics would play this little relationship. You know, math would poke ahead and be useless, and then physics would catch up and pass, and mathematics would have to, be generated for that. And finally, in about the 20s, mid-1920s to the early 1930s, just sort of a little bit before the beginning of the real part that turned into World War II. Topology on manifolds was invented, which for all practical purposes seemed as useless as possible. I mean, it was so removed from reality that mathematicians felt that they had sort of finally, reached that holy grail, man. There's no way anybody's ever going to find a use for this crap. In fact, that was basically what Stefan Banach said was, man, we've made it. Nobody's ever going to find a use for this crap. And then he ordered another beer. And then string theory came along, which it actually came along quite a while ago, but it began to show up in the late 1930s, early 1940s. And now string theory has all about deformations of things. And string theory has caught all of that good algebraic topology that mathematicians thought was putting them in the untouchable land. Anyhow, this guy gave a really wonderful short video about it. And anyhow, somebody was just sitting around thinking about this point and line duality relationship and came up with it without really thinking that it had a destination, that it was just kind of neat. So we just looked at it, and it's kind of neat. And you think, well, why would I care about this? And don't care about it for the moment. Just park that idea. I want to talk about something else here for a little bit. So we are doing Voronoi diagrams, and one of the ways to build a Voronoi diagram is to take all the half planes that aren't at a point and intersect them all together. And when you do that, then you start having to deal with intersecting half planes issue. So I want to talk about the lower envelope of a set of lines. So basically, let L be a set of lines. I think I want to name them here, don't I? Yeah, briefly. The set of lines, so let me call them L1, L2, up to Ln. And each I guess we don't even really need this part here. Let's just consider the half planes for the Li. So you've got a line that stretches on to infinity, and on dot 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 and dot 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 here, and the line separates the plane into two half planes. We've got the half plane above, and we've got the half plane below. And not surprisingly, this is called the upper half plane, and this is called the lower half plane. And so the idea here is each one of these lines does this. So the lower envelope of L it's the boundary of the intersection of all of the lower half planes. Of the lines in L. I'm going to draw a picture here. So here's my picture. Here's what I have: four lines. So here's a line, and here's its lower half plane, and it gets really messy to try to draw stuff like this on the board. But there's a line and its lower half plane, and here's another line. That killed two markers. Here's another line and its lower half plane. And another one and its lower half plane. You can see how it's obviously getting just atrociously messy. And here's another one and its lower half plane. The stuff that's technically below it. So there's an intersection of a set of half planes. The lower envelope the boundary of intersection of the lower half planes. So the lower envelope of this guy is this. And it's, you know, it's not finite. It extends out forever. So this is the lower envelope. There would be more if there were more. So it's kind of the wrapper around the the wrapper around the area that's the intersection of all of those half planes. There's a corresponding upper envelope. We would take the upper half planes and intersect them together and find the boundary around them and so on. All right, there's a term, and there's its reality. We talked about convex hulls we looked at a couple of ways of calculating convex hull. The one that matters here for the moment, we did a divide and conquer convex hull. And the way that it worked was we had, you know, a flock of planes, or a flock of points, and we picked out like the leftmost and the rightmost. And I don't know where that would be. I guess maybe over here. And then the very first step, sort of the preliminary step, was to use those 2 points to split the set of points into 2 pieces. And then we proceeded to, by divide and conquer means, we constructed the upper hull, and I'm not going to get anything reasonable out of this, but you know, we constructed. I wonder why this marker only marks sometimes. Have I killed 2 of them? So we did a DNC approach on the upper hull. That was the one where we found the point that was farthest away, and then we it was P max, and it became a point on the hull, and then we separated the set into the stuff that's left and right of the line from the endpoints to it, and continued in that manner. But we did DNC on the upper hull and found the upper hull, and then we followed that up on the lower hull. I guess it's not truly on the hull; it's on the set to get the lower. Let me just correct that. You all remember that, right? Or at least remember me remembering it. So the cool thing here is, must be talking about all this crap together for some reason. And the cool thing is this fact, which is actually not terribly hard to prove at all. The counterclockwise order of the points, the vertices of the upper hull of a set of points corresponds to, so in the primal plane, we're talking about duality here. The corresponding thing in the dual plane is the left to right order of the lines in the lower envelope. In the dual plane. So in fact, In fact, one of the problems in finding convex hulls was to get them in a particular order, and it's easy to get them in counterclockwise order here. And the corresponding lines in the dual plane that correspond to those points from left to right, that's our chunks that make up that lower envelope. So, well, so there's a bunch of things that happen from this. Just thinking, just to slow this down for just a moment. We're doing the divide and conquer convex hull of a point set. So we're working out on a set of points. So that set of points in the dual space, this is in the primal space. The corresponding thing in the dual space is a set of lines. And so when we wrap the convex hull around that set of points, when we wrap the upper convex hull around that set of points, we're wrapping an envelope around the half planes, I guess, that are created by intersecting those half planes from the lines. So a cool thing that results from this is this divide and conquer approach for convex hull. The quick hull algorithm, that's when we were talking about it. The quick hull is a n log n algorithm to find the convex hull. So certainly to find the upper hull is also n log n. Find the lower envelope is also n log n. We just convert treat the lower envelope problem as being in the dual space, flip it back to the primal space, convex hull it up, and then pick those points out and go back and pick out the lines that form the lower envelope. So unfortunately, reality caught up with mathematics, or fortunately. But either way, we wound up with a new way to approach a problem. So what we're going to do tomorrow is we'll take this technique and pull it into a technique to find the Voronoi diagram in either n squared log n or n or better time on a set of sites. That's all I've got for today, and that's actually, I'm uncaffeinated, which hurts, and I don't have anywhere near the buzz I normally have, so that's a sign that I've got the fan in the right place, I guess, or that Stanley's here. It's the first time Stanley's been with us, and the buzz hasn't been atrocious.
Is he still here?
Are you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here. I was just listening. Yeah, it was a horrible week last week. We had to submit like a problem area for the research, and that took up a lot of time.
Well, I bet. Are you having fun?
Yeah. Well, but it's still a lot of work. I was not expecting.
Well, work is fun, man.
Yeah.
You don't sound convinced.
Yeah, it's
Is it going well though?
we actually have we are on pace to actually publish a journal before we get done, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What dorm are you in?
Fredrickson Court.
Okay. I was going to ask, did you know Bill Lee in the math department here? Did you ever have a class from him?
Um, I think I saw him at the math club.
Okay. Do you think you would recognize him?
I will, yeah.
Okay. Well, he lives in Ames. He lives in a house kind of on it's on the same street as like Fraternity Row, across from campus there on the south. I don't know what house it is, but you might actually see him walking around there because I know he's home this summer.
Wow.
Say hi to him if you do.
Oh, all
If
right.
you think you would recognize him.
I will for sure.
All right. All right. It's good to talk to you, Stanley.
Yeah,
See you tomorrow.
it's been a while.
So you needed the just a picture of what was it for my notes again?
In the table, there's a picture of the table.
Oh, okay. Here, I'll just.
All right.